Josh Stein is the 76th governor of the state of North Carolina. First year in office. I think I got to break it to you. It doesn't get any easier from here.
No,
congratulations.
But we're really excited here in North Carolina. We are open for business. Since January 1, we have announced more than $20 billion of investment, producing over 23,000 jobs here in North Carolina. We're the third fastest growing state in the country. We have a solid growing economy, but it's all about our people. We have the most talented, good, hardworking, friendly people you could possibly know, so that if you are a biotech or pharmaceutical company or an aerospace company, you can come here. We have the engineers and scientists to help design your product, but we also have the talented advanced manufacturing workforce you need to produce them.
And it clearly the recipe is working. You heard us reference Hurricane Helene a moment ago. Just this week, Tropical Storm Chantal in the central part of the state. How are people doing?
Heartbreaking. We lost 5 lives in the storms that hit this week, 108 lives from Hurricane Helene, $60 billion in damage, as your reporter announced. So we're working hard to recover. I was in Clyde, North Carolina yesterday, which is west of Asheville. Entire downtown under 6 or 8 feet of water. I could not tell that from any storefront I walked in. Everyone was fresher than it has ever been. I asked the store owners, I said, is it better than it was before? And they're like, yes, we have a new floor, new siding, new air conditioning. It is beautiful. It is open for business. We have an ad campaign, which is Rediscover the Unforgettable. People need to come to Western North Carolina. If you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. Rediscover that unforgettable. And if you haven't, you'll be thrilled that you did.
But on that topic of it doesn't get any easier from here, as you know, the Trump administration wants to retool FEMA, maybe get rid of it, maybe put some of this responsibility back on the states. Does that work? Can the state handle that?
It depends on the scale of the storm. And North Carolina is a bigger state than most, so we have a pretty sophisticated emergency response team. But here's the thing, we don't get a huge storm every year. The country does. It doesn't make sense for each state to have a fully staffed emergency response team because they may not have a storm for 5 years or 10 years, but we know the country will. So let's have that expertise in the federal government. And also the resources, we as a state cannot bear the cost of recovery, $60 billion. Only the federal government can do that. We need more help. I have an $11.5 billion request before Congress and the administration that I eagerly hope that they fund soon.
I take it that you concur with Senator Tillis's estimates about what the big, beautiful bill will do to this state. He talked about 663,000 people potentially losing their health insurance, as much as $32 billion in lost revenue to the state under the Medicaid changes. First of all, do you agree with that? And what will you do about that in a state that 10 days into the fiscal year, you still don't have a budget?
We don't have a budget. It's a real concern. This bill is going to result in real harm to North Carolina, harm to our people, harm to our health care system. It's about $40 billion over the next 10 years taken out of health care. You cannot do that and not have human suffering. So there are hundreds of thousands of people who are going to lose their health care coverage. We have a lot of rural hospitals. Those are where uninsured people will predominantly live. They will be the ones at risk of closing. So we're very concerned. Obviously, we need to work with our North Carolina legislature to make sure that we don't abandon the bipartisan win we had together. 2 years ago, we actually expanded Medicaid, providing coverage to those 660,000 people. So we have work to do. We came together arm in arm, Democrats and Republicans, to expand Medicaid. Now we have to come together to defend Medicaid.
So that bill is law. It's something you're going to have to deal with, whether you like it or not, and try and stay competitive in some of the ways that made you the top state this year. Can you do it?
We will. We'll figure out a way. Obviously, it's not simple, but Republicans and Democrats, we have our differences here in North Carolina, but we also know that having a strong, vibrant, growing economy, diversified, that is what works for our people. That's what gives us rising incomes. It gives us lower unemployment. It improves people's quality of life. So we will come together and figure out how to solve this problem.
And one of the other realities you're dealing with is tariffs. We found through our friends at Trade Partnership Worldwide that 20% of North Carolina's goods trade is international. 20% of the gross domestic product, I should say, is international goods trade. That's going to take a bite, isn't it?
Well, there's so much economic uncertainty because of a trade policy that changes practically on a daily basis. We need to have stability. businesses need certainty so that they can figure out how and where to invest. We're here in Wilmington, North Carolina, absolutely beautiful. It's our biggest port, one of two major ports here in North Carolina. They've had some reduction in traffic. What we need is certainty.
This is, I've spent a lot of time here. It's a beautiful state, but you come in 29th for quality of life in our study this year. So some of that has to do with the fact that this is one of only 5 states with no public accommodation law prohibiting discrimination. Mm-hmm. It's been that way for a while. Doesn't seem like that's going to change, but it's not just that.
Yeah.
What can you do to make lives better, to improve costs for North Carolinians, another area where the state is a little bit weak? Where do you go with that?
Yeah, well, we think we have an amazing quality of life. And folks who come here, they stay here. If you move to North Carolina because a job takes you here, you won't leave. That's how my family came here 60 years ago. My dad came for a job, and we loved it. So we think that we have natural beauty here in Wilmington, in the mountains, everywhere in between, good people, great culture. There are always things we can do better. I want this to be the most welcoming state, not only to businesses, but to people, to workers. Every person has something to offer. And the world is too competitive for us to leave anyone's talents on the sidelines. So come to North Carolina. We will find a place where you can contribute.
When we talk about costs, taxes fit into all of that. Mm-hmm. You have your state legislature, the General Assembly, which is controlled by Republicans. There's a debate about whether to cut taxes in the face of all the fiscal pressures that we talked about. But you also don't want taxes to be too high and drive people out because cost, as we said, is already an issue.
Yeah.
How do you come down on that sort of balance? How do you keep this attractive cost-wise?
No one likes to pay taxes. So we want taxes to be as low as possible, but we need enough to pay for excellent public schools, enough to pay for our community college and university systems, to make sure that our roads are excellent. We have incredibly good infrastructure. So I come down let's get them as low as we can. We have the lowest corporate income tax of any state that has a corporate income tax in the country. We have low personal income taxes. So what I don't want us to do is imprudently continue to go to zero when we have all this fiscal uncertainty coming from Washington. We're going to be having to bear Medicaid expenses. We're going to have to bear SNAP expenses to make sure that our young people have food. We still have recovery in Western North Carolina. So I'm just asking us, I do not want to raise taxes, but let's just go slow, make sure that we have the fiscal situation we need to succeed well into the future.
We'll be watching for it. Governor Josh Stein, the 76th governor of the state of North Carolina, America's top state for business in 2025. Now you can go online and see where your state ranks at topstates.cnbc.com.